Hey all, today we're going to tackle the age-old question. Does leaving your magazines fully loaded for a long period of time damage them? Let's get into it. Now, if you like this content, like, sub, shares, all that good stuff, really appreciate it. Also down below, coupon codes and merch to help support the channel. Now, before I get into this, I want to say, put down below. I'm always curious to hear other people's experiences, so let me know. Have you left stuff loaded for a long period of time? Was it okay afterwards? Did it still cycle? Did you have issues? What kind of magazine was it? I want to hear because I'm always curious, and more data is always a good thing. Now on to my experience. Some people say that basically it can damage a magazine to have it fully loaded and leave it sitting. The general, official know-it-all internet answer is that no, that basically a spring is damaged by, compressing it and then uncompressing it, and doing that a bunch, basically, using the magazine is what slowly wears out the spring. I've not had much experience with magazine failure until now. I have here my Henry AR-7, and I'll talk about this in a little bit because with this gun, I was actually able to, without trying, do a magazine test. So basically, this gun got put away. I've moved several times, and this gun, while it's a cool gun, it's not particularly super accurate. It's fun to shoot, but it's nothing crazy. The trigger is not the best. The sights are okay. It's just a neat little novelty gun that, definitely would be a good backpack gun. Long story short, it just hasn't gotten to the range much. So the nice thing about this gun is if you pop off the cap here, right? So we'll pop this off. Inside, you have all the stuff for the gun, including the magazines. So it was really easy to leave the magazines in here loaded. And that's how they were for several years, probably about at least, 4 or 5 years, right? So I left them in there fully loaded. And recently, a couple months ago, decided to, hey, take this to the range. I hadn't shot it in a while. A couple people wanted to shoot it because, again, it's kind of a cool gun, right? Kind of cool, the floating 22 long rifle. So we took it out to the range and loaded up one of those magazines that, had been loaded for a couple years. And I started experiencing issues. Now, I knew that this gun was kind of finicky. It liked federal ammunition, and I had, federal ammunition. I knew what it liked, right? And I started experiencing issues. So I tried several different ammunitions, and I finally started realizing what was happening was the magazine springs, right, had worn out to the point where, I'll show, the little follower here didn't have enough spring tension, or there wasn't enough spring tension under the follower to push the round up. So basically the bolt was going across the top of the magazine, across the round it was meant to chamber, and, going back home. So I had, basically by leaving these loaded, worn out the springs. This wasn't the gun. The gun was, the only thing that this possibly could have been was the springs had gone bad. Now, I've got replacement magazines for it, and it's, all good now. But this was the first instance of having magazines fail. So to answer the question, can magazine springs fail with being loaded for a long period of time? Yes, but I have a feeling it has to do with the quality of magazines. There's different quality magazines, different type of springs, different, basically different ways to manufacture, using different quality materials to get a different type of magazine. I'm sure the little AR-7, which is generally a lightweight gun, kind of built cheap. They're only like $200-300, depending upon where you find one, right? I'm sure it doesn't have the same quality magazine that perhaps is in your Glock, something like that, that's going to have much more beefy magazine setup. So to answer the question, yes. Can a magazine be damaged by being fully loaded? Yes. Is it something I would worry about with a good quality gun? Not so much, because I've had guns that have been loaded for years, and, I took them out, shot them. It's been perfectly fine. For instance, I carry my Colt Delta Lead a lot, and because I carried a lot, the magazines can sit loaded for months on end, sometimes over a year, without being unloaded because I'm not shooting the ammo. There's been a couple instances where I've, been out somewhere and decided to shoot off the ammo and had no malfunctions whatsoever. If you have a gun that's maybe, a little bit cheaper, maybe a little, again, the AR-7's kind of built, I don't want to say flimsy, but kind of flimsy. Maybe, don't keep your magazines loaded if that's something you're worried about. But I stand by that if it's a good quality gun with a good quality magazine, you're probably fine. But that was my experience. So, again, a lot of people say that it's never an issue. I was of the belief that it was never an issue until I had this happen with this gun where, magazines had worn out. So put down below again. I really want to hear other people's stories. Have you had this with different guns where a magazine went bad? But put down below what you think, and have a good day.